I have fantastic news. I am no longer sick, I am healthy, and I am back on track to my cut for summer, and I could not be more excited. So today, I wanted to share with you my overall meal plan for this cut for summer. So what my daily kind of schedule looks like as far as my meals go, and what some of my go-to meals are. I did recently do a video on my overall cutting plan, how I'm structuring it, the 3 key elements that I am going to be implementing, including the mini cut cycle element, which is absolutely key. So if you've not seen that video yet, I highly recommend you go check it out to see how this cut overall will be structured. In this video today though, I wanted to give you first a breakdown of my calorie distribution, not only how I distribute my calories throughout the day, but also how I distribute my calories to the different macros, as well as some of my go-to meals when I'm going to be in a deficit, and finally how I structure my day and my meals to help me stay in a deficit. So if you're excited to see how I am structuring my meals on this cut, please do give this video a big thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button to follow me along this journey on my very first ever actual cut for summer. So as far as my cutting calories go, I did explain this in more detail in my previous video about my cutting plan for summer, but I am trying to cut on 2,000 calories. For my macros more specifically, I'm not aiming for anything very specific, especially when it comes to fat and carbs. The goal overall is to be higher fat, purely based on the fact that when I eat more fat, I feel more full, I feel more satiated, and I also just love fat, so it helps a lot with adherence to being in a deficit. Now, this is absolutely not the case for everyone. Some people thrive when they're in the deficit with more carbs, and so I actually went into this in detail to find your perfect macros for being in a deficit or for maintenance in my how to find your perfect macros video. So if you're all curious about how to figure out which macro ratio is going to work best for you, I highly recommend you check out that video. This is just what works best for me. For protein, I am more specific about it. I'm trying to eat between 80 to 100 grams of protein. Now, this is based on the fact that I'm approximately 120 pounds, which means I have approximately roughly 100 pounds of lean mass, and in order to maintain muscle mass when you're on a cut, you want to be eating between about 0.7 and 1 gram of protein per pound of lean mass. So I'm trying to stick roughly on the higher end of that, which is why I went for 80 to 100 grams of protein. Most days have been closer to 100, so I am trying to stick with that, but if it's like 80, not gonna beat myself up about it. So I'm basically just allowing myself to eat as much fat and protein kind of as I want, and then filling in the rest with carbs. And when I do this, I find that I am actually able to kind of hit my goal macros really, really well, and it actually allows me to stick close to 2,000 calories without feeling deprived at all. So as far as the breakdown of my actual meals goes, usually I have 2 huge meals, so I'll have a really big breakfast and an even bigger dinner. Between that, I'll probably have a snack, and then after that, I will almost definitely have dessert. So looking at breakfast specifically, I usually have a meal that's around 650, 700 calories. Sometimes it's closer to 600, sometimes it can be closer to 800, but I like to have a big breakfast. And this is not only because it helps keep me full and satiated throughout the day, but psychologically, being in a deficit, I feel like it really starts my day out right and on the right foot. Because I start out feeling full and satiated, I don't feel restricted. I feel like, you know, I started the day and I feel full. Even though I'm in a deficit, I feel full. And so my body gets those signals sent to the brain where my brain's like, cool, we're chilling, like we have enough food. I make sure to make my breakfast as high in fat as possible and maybe moderate to high in protein and pretty darn low carb other than veggies if it's like a meal that I can add veggies to. If I start my day with a high carb meal, I will be hungry the rest of the day. Like, hands down, always happens. So starting my day with a ton of carbs when I'm on a cut, not a good idea. So with that being said, my go-to breakfast when I'm on a cut is an egg veggie scramble. Now this is very high in healthy fats, it's high in protein, and I can add a ton of bulk with different vegetables. Additionally, for me, it's extraordinarily filling because all of the fat and the bulk from the vegetables, and it helps me get my protein in early, so it's not something I have to think about as much throughout the day. So usually I'll have 4 eggs with a little bit of nutritional yeast. Sometimes I'll add some cashew cheese just to get a little extra. extra healthy fat and some flavor, and then salt and pepper, whatever. And then for veggies, my go-to is usually some grated up zucchini, or I'll do squash. Sometimes I'll do pickled artichokes. I'll usually add avocado, maybe some salsa. I love adding chopped up onions. Sometimes I'll do kale. Another great idea is bell peppers, although for some reason my body doesn't like cooked bell peppers, so I don't usually add them to my eggs, but you might like them if you want to give this a try. Pesto is also a great way to spice up eggs. It doesn't really make that much of a difference nutritionally, but it tastes real good. Another one of my absolute favorite go-to breakfasts is chia pudding. Now this isn't as high in protein, but it's pretty high in healthy fats as well as fiber, so it's very, very filling. To make it, I'll usually use half a cup of some sort of plant milk and half a cup of water. Combine that with a quarter cup of chia seeds. If I'm feeling fancy, I'll add some like cacao powder or maca powder or something like that in there, and then I will top it with some key toppings. The toppings are really what make the chia seed pudding, especially when the pudding itself is more plain. So I love to add berries, especially blueberries, raspberries, or blackberries, and then I'll add some other higher fat toppings as well. So chopped up nuts, cacao nibs, sometimes I'll do hemp seeds, flax seeds, shredded coconut, stuff like that. And this helps add an extra punch of healthy fats as well as a little bit of protein to help keep me full. My last go-to breakfast, especially now that it's getting warmer, it's getting close to summer, is a smoothie. And I have two favorite go-to smoothies. Again, I try to pack these smoothies with as much good fat as I can. I also add a protein powder, which I admit is not ideal, but if you're having a smoothie, I don't really know how else to get in a ton of protein in there. And if I want the smoothie, I might as well add some protein in there, so I add the protein powder. And also, since my smoothies tend to be at least 700 calories, they also tend to be very, very filling and keep me full for hours. I had one of these smoothies for breakfast, like, what time is it? 4 hours ago, still not hungry. My go-to smoothie flavors are chocolate peanut butter, which is my absolute favorite. This has been my go-to for quite a while, and then a vanilla one, which I have recently fallen in love with. So my base for both of these smoothies includes obviously a ton of healthy fats, so I'll usually start with some sort of plant milk, usually almond milk, but whatever I really have on hand. I'll usually throw in some hemp seeds, some coconut, some ground up flax seeds, definitely a nut butter. I love cashew butter in this as well. And then I've been using dates to sweeten it because I can't do bananas, which is really sad. And then for my chocolate peanut butter one, I will add some cacao powder, sometimes some cacao nibs, and then I will use the Amazing Grass chocolate peanut butter protein powder, which is the best protein powder if you're trying to make a chocolate peanut butter smoothie. Like, it is delicious. And then for my vanilla smoothie, I love making it a little bit snickerdoodly, so I'll throw in a splash of vanilla extract as well as kind of quite a bit of cinnamon. And then for the protein powder, I just got SIGMATIC's new protein powder, and let me tell you, this is like my ideal protein powder when it comes to ingredients. I'm blown away by it. When they first sent it to me, I was a little bit hesitant. I was like, oh great, they're gonna send me a protein powder that like I'm not gonna be in love with, and so I'm gonna just like ignore it. But I looked at the ingredients and this stuff is legit. It's basically a plain plant-based protein powder. It has 5 different sources of plant-based protein as well as a ton of my favorite adaptogens, but that isn't even the best part. The best part is what is not in here. It doesn't have any gums, lecithins, natural flavors, artificial flavors, or anything like that. It is just purely clean ingredients. It does have 7 grams of carbs, and 2 of that comes from added sugars because they do use some coconut palm sugar to sweeten it, so it's a little bit high for a protein powder, but for plant-based protein, that's really not that far off from what you would get on average. So if you're looking for a new protein powder, I highly recommend this. I tried it with just almond milk, and it is probably one of the best protein powders that I've ever tried. It is plain, so there's not much flavor, but it also doesn't have that like chalky, gag-inducing flavor in it either. So I think it's pretty darn good. Highly, highly recommend it. As always, I do have a discount code for SIGMATIC. You can use Fit and Nerdy to get 15% off any of their products, so highly recommend you check this out. And then this would obviously not be a Marissa smoothie if I didn't throw in an adaptogen or 2, so I will usually do that as well. If I'm using the SIGMATIC protein, I'll usually just add more of whatever's already in here rather than adding another adaptogen just to get like a little boost of whichever one I'm feeling. But if it's my chocolate peanut butter smoothie, I'll add like whatever I'm feeling, because that doesn't have adaptogens in it already. And then of course I'll throw in a ton of ice, which also does help make it filling because it just adds like a lot of volume to the smoothie. And also I like my smoothies thick, so ice is key. So even with my ginormous breakfast, most days I will usually have a snack unless I end up being super busy and just forget that hunger is a thing, which usually doesn't happen. I like food too much for that to happen. So with my snacks, I usually have a little bit of wiggle room with my calories, which is kind of key for me. Since my breakfast is around 650 calories and my dinner is around 1,000 calories, I'll usually have between 200 and 400 calories to play around with my snack and my dessert, which I feel like really helps me mentally while I'm in a deficit. Before, when I would try to meal prep everything, like down to the macros and down to the calories with my snacks and everything, I felt so restricted and just wanted to eat anything other than what I had prepped. And so I found that giving myself that wiggle room and that space to kind of eat whatever and have extra calories to do whatever I want with was absolutely necessary for me to maintain my good mindset with food. So with my snacks, what I like to do is focus on just maximizing nutrition, but also adding a little bit of fat if I feel like I need it. So one of my favorite snacks is kombucha. I mean, I wouldn't call it a snack because it's a drink, but like, it's not breakfast and it's not dinner, so it's going in the snack category. Kombucha is great. Not only is it good for you, but it's also really bubbly. I don't know about you, but when I drink carbonated things, like it really fills me up. So if I'm just feeling particularly hungry one day, I'll just go for a kombucha and it makes me so happy. But I also love to just have a handful of almonds, couple handfuls of blueberries, a handful of blueberries and almonds. And if I'm craving something like crunchy or sweet, like if I'm craving chips or I want like ice cream or something like that, I love just slicing up an apple and throwing some cinnamon on it. Like, that has been my go-to snack for a very long time. I love it. Moving on to dinner, this is always my biggest meal. Usually it's between 900 and 1,000 calories, and my goal with dinner is to maximize veggie intake, just get all of those good micronutrients. Also, they're very, very filling, which is key. Also, I usually try to make sure I have a really, really good source of protein in there as well. And I just love ending the day with a huge meal that makes me full, keeps me satisfied, and it just mentally for me during a cut, while I am technically restricting calories, having, again, like breakfast, this huge meal that makes me feel very full and satiated, keeps me from feeling restricted. If I just ate small meals throughout the day and never had that feeling of really truly being full, I would be so much hungrier and I would crave everything. So eating on this schedule and these number of calories is absolutely key for me. One of my absolute favorite go-to dinners is protein pasta. It's very high in vegetables, high in protein, and extraordinarily filling. It's also usually like 1,200 calories, but whatever. So I usually use either the Banza pasta or the Sybil's free-to-eat pastas, both of which are made with different vegetables and legumes to add extra protein, and then I'll do as much veggies as I can cram into it. My go-to veggies for this pasta are carrots, celery, and zucchini, but if I have other stuff, I'll usually throw it in. Then I'll also usually throw in about 4 to 6 ounces of ground meat, depending on how much protein I need for the rest of the day, and some pasta sauce, salt and pepper, seasonings, etc. Nice and simple, full of veggies, very filling, amazing. My next go-to dinner on a cut is a big salad. It's maximum veggies for maximum fullness and maximum satisfaction. It's also really easy to throw on some chicken or some steak for some extra protein. My number one tip for enjoying giant salads and really like embracing the salads on a cut is to have a wide variety of salad dressings. Like, this is how I have come to love salads, is because I can change the flavor every night, not just eat the same exact salad. So I have a lot of different salad dressings, but I love them. I go through them so quickly, and they make me really happy, and it makes it really easy for me to get in not only the nutrients that I need for my cut, but also just my nutrients in my vegetables, and just eat all of the kale. The next meal that I absolutely love is really great if I have eaten more than I usually would during the beginning of the day. And this is chicken soup, because it's very low calorie, very filling, and packed with nutrients. When you're restricting calories, I should have said this earlier, but when you're restricting calories, it is so key to make sure you are maximizing the number of nutrients in your food because you're actually eating less. So you need to make sure that what you are eating is full of what your body actually needs to be able to function properly. So chicken soup with a ton of veggies in there, amazing. My mom made me a ton while I was sick, and so I had a ton left over, and it made me so happy. And then my last go-to dinner that is actually a recipe that I included in my fitness and lifestyle program, Project Comeback, is a chili. Now this is basically just meat, ton of veggies, pasta sauce. So easy, but also packed with protein, packed with veggies, delicious, nutritious, amazing. And this is also a great one if I'm lacking on protein for the day because it's really easy to add in a ton of meat to this and still have it taste like good and normal and like a chili. Now moving on to my favorite thing of the day, dessert. If you guys have been watching my channel for not even very long, you will know that I love ending my day with a little bit of chocolate. Most days end with a little bit of chocolate. And I do this for a few reasons. First is that when I get to end my day with dessert, I feel like it puts me in a much better mindset about my deficit. I don't feel restricted. I feel like I'm getting to eat what I want. And so I'm much better able to not really have any cravings or feel like I need to binge on other stuff because I'm already eating what I would want to binge on anyway, basically. And the second way that it really helps me is that I know that I would eat it anyway. Like even if I hit my calories, I'd be like, okay, I still need a bite of chocolate. So I might as well eat it and make it part of the plan so that if I do eat it, I don't feel any guilt about it whatsoever. It's something I was planning on doing, something that I've made room for. So my go-to dessert is usually chocolate. That's like 90% of what I would eat for dessert. And my favorite brands that I highly recommend of chocolate are, first of all, Nib & Stone, which is my chocolate guy at the farmer's market, but also I have fallen in love with Endorphin Foods chocolate lately. The ingredients are amazing and it tastes fantastic. And then Nomad and Who Kitchen are also up there in my faves. So if you're looking for a healthy chocolate, highly recommend those. But I also did recently make these like adaptogenic frozen mango bites that I've been having for dessert, and oh my god, they are so good. So if I feel like having something frozen, a little colder, kind of like ice cream, I will pop a few of those in my mouth instead of the chocolate, but it is usually the chocolate. So that is basically the rough meal plan that I will be following during my deficit weeks. Now this is not anything like strict, like I'm not like, I will only pick out of these 4 things for breakfast and out of these 4 things for dinner. Those are just kind of my go-to meals that make it very easy for me to be compliant with what I'm trying to achieve. All of the calories for these recipes are super flexible, so if you're like, Marissa, I'm twice your size and I'm cutting on 3,000 calories, you can easily just like double something, or if you need less calories, you can get rid of an egg from breakfast, have less pasta for dinner. So if you're trying to lose weight but not also eating 2,000 calories, just know that you can also use these meals. Just adjust to your macros accordingly. Speaking of which, let me know down in the comments what some of your go-to meals are when you are in a deficit. Give me some food inspiration, because this is basically what I eat all of the time. I could definitely use a little bit of inspiration. In the meantime, please do give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and if you want to see more content like this, definitely leave a comment and let me know what you want to see. I'm more than happy to keep making similar videos. Please share this video with your friends and your family and your neighbors. If you want to see more health and fitness related content all about perfecting your nutrition, perfecting your physique, etc., you can check these videos out over here. Please hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos, and if you want to be notified when I post a new video, definitely hit that notification button, and I will see you very soon. Bye!